Welcome to Looking to the Future, day 2. It's 19th of February 2022. And today we have with us Pragya Saxena and Omkar Dashetwar from the job profile to talk about the questions we have prepared for you guys. And before that, I'd like to introduce who are they. All right. So talking about Omkar pursued his B.Tech in Mechatronics at MIT Manipal. He graduated with a minor specialization in robotics and automation. He then joined Tata Motors as a graduate engineer trainee and later as a senior manager. He is currently pursuing MBA at IIM Shillong. Uh, to know more about him, he has taken multiple internships both under technical and management domains. He was also the vice president at ISA during his college time. So, one second. Yeah, he was also the vice president at ISA during his college time and also electrical power subsystem member at Pariksha Student Satellite Team as well. And he was winners of the National Management Olympiad 2021 held by FIE committee. He's also one of the national finalists for Global Management Challenge held in 2020. All right, so he has got many feathers on his hat. Coming to our next speakers, Pragya Saxena. She completed her bachelor degree in Mechatronics from Manipal itself and pursued my specialization in business management. Pragya then undertook a job at Tata Hitachi as a graduate engineer trainee, later as an assistant manager in the assembly production line. She then shifted to imports procurement, where she was promoted to manager. She also worked full time as a factory manager at Flipkart for a few months. She has also worked at TIF Labs as a business development intern. Pragya is currently working as an operations intern at Shakti Steel Plant. We are also proud to say that she has been one of our previous publicity heads at Mechatronics. All right. So welcome, guys. How are you all?
Thank you, Achyut. Thank you, team, for having us here. We are good.
Thank you for the introduction, Achyut. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Yes,
welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we would like to start right away with the question answers, which we have as moderators, and then we'll move ahead with Q&A by the audience as well. Okay. So my first question would be, what are your views on placements at MIT, both on campus and off campus? Also, what would be the basic eligibility criteria for each? What would you say, Pragya?
The placements at MIT Manipal are decent and good. So it can range from salary like 3.5 LPA to 15 LPA. Mostly computer science branches have higher placement packages. And off-campus placements are also, they also fall in the same range of 3.5 to 8 LPA. And it's a little tough to get, but overall the packages and the placements are good. And the criteria for the placements are also similar. Mostly while on campus, the companies will provide you the criteria. Whereas for off campus, you're supposed to fall in line with what the company wants and what if they have a vacancy or not. So that is about the placements.
In campus placements, you do not have that choice if you have some specific interest within a particular domain or particular company. You have to choose about from what all roles are offered through campus. That is number one. Number two, the placement scenario in Manipal specifically is such that companies or placement committee has to make certain branches eligible. If you compare it with our counterparts, let's say other colleges with relatively smaller batch size, there's no such thing as eligibility of branches for most of the companies. You can apply based on your interest. So in that aspect, I think Manipal has a disadvantage. But at the same time, due to high batch size, you do have a lot of options as well. So that's the scenario in campus. So coming to off campus, here it is something where if you have some particular interest or you want to do a particular role or you want to get into a particular company, you can do so if that company has not visited in campus or in campus some other branch is eligible. So off-campus has that edge in that case, but at the same time, it's very difficult to get off-campus. The situation is relatively difficult. The interview processes are relatively difficult than campus interviews, off-campus process.
Right.
Keep
So,
that in mind.
talking about off-campus as well, like, what would you say? Like, are there any special skills apart from what is taught that you should know for off-campus? Why would you label it as difficult? Is it difficult to get in? Are there not openings, or is it the skill set?
So difficult in the sense that, let's see a company's point of view. A company would want to hire certain number of people from campus because they know the students of that campus are at par with tier 1 colleges are best in the country. Or so the hiring process, the interview process is relatively simpler. They do not grill you much if you compare it with the off-campus. So off-campus, perhaps they look for specific skill set or they would look at a particular profile. Whereas in campus interviews, you somewhat get an advantage. Whether you do not have that particular skill, still you may be hired and company would train you. So there are a lot of dynamics that come into place in off-campus and on-campus. Perhaps I may not have covered a lot of those, but yeah, you have to keep that in mind.
Okay. Any additions, Pragya, to this?
It's the same thing. Usually in off campus, we have to be in touch with the people. Like you have to start your hustle before. You have to get in touch with the link through LinkedIn. You have to get in touch with the seniors or people who are hiring for that particular role. You have to start that very particular process a little bit ahead, and then only you will get an opportunity to be shortlisted for an interview process. That they will look at your application if you're eligible or not, and also the vacancy part is there. So it gets naturally a little tougher compared to whatever we have on.
Yeah, again, the competition as well.
On-campus companies have, like just Omkar said, that, Omkar told that they have already the set of questions there, and it's an easy process. They have come for recruitment. So you don't have to, all those criteria, like is there a vacancy, is there a skill set, is already striked off when you're going for an on-campus placement.
Right. Okay. So since you guys have been in industry just since after your after completion of your B.Tech, so you might have experienced different kinds of skill sets with people with different kinds of skill set. What would you label as not the one of the most, but like different kinds of skills which are in demand in today's market? Pragya, what would you say about it?
The skill sets I would say is important now is data analytics and data science. So nobody can run away from coding. Coding will be there and it will come eventually. That is important. And while we were working in industry, so it depends on your, like I joined as a GAT. So I was placed in the production department. My roles and the roles of someone who is in design team or is in supply chain is completely different. I had more of an operational task, manpower handling, materials handling. So for me, not that much of on the computer job was required. It was more physical job. So it differs in an industry where you are placed. Similarly, if you get into a software company, you will have requirements. These days, data science is booming because you have data everywhere. Like, for example, we had quality team and they had a bunch of quality defects. So you have to analyze that data. Though it can be done over MS Office suite, you can have those things. But gradually, if you go into a consulting firm, if you look in that perspective where you're handling data of other companies, you have to present it more better. So you need to know the data visualization tools. So those are the skill sets that are coming and that are in demand in future. And obviously, like mostly computer science softwares, you can have robotics also, automation. That is also happening, IoT. Those are the things that is required.
Okay. All right. What about Omkar? Any other skills in other domain or something?
So yeah, so let's say if you'll have to categorize into jobs into different industries or different domains. So let's say Pragya covered most of the technical aspects of the part, the engineering jobs. Yeah, lately engineering jobs, most of them would require basic data analytics, basic Excel skills. That is there. But if you come on to business side, or for that matter, any kind of job, soft skills and your how would you interact with others? How would you how do you take feedback from your seniors? Your eagerness to learn, soft skill, all those things also matter at the same time. So not just your technical skills, soft skills also do matter.
Okay. All right. All right. So, like soft skills would be communication, networking,
Absolutely.
and all that, right?
Yeah, your eagerness to learn as well, how you take feedback, how you
Right.
manage things, how you complete your work, how you plan things, everything.
Right. Right. Okay. So, all like while you were in college, while we are in college, there's a trend that goes on, and it is at some point correct also. So the thing is that people want to so, like, if you want to get into MS or even for now job placements, people are looking out for their name publication, usually first author, even as co-author or something. So, what are your views on like if is it necessary to write a research paper for getting a job? Like, what demand is there?
So I would say it is not exactly necessary, but sometimes it does get you an advantage. Let's say if you want to apply for masters, having a research paper would certainly show that you are into research, you are into engineering or into that particular field. Or sometimes particular jobs like R&D or that those for those jobs, having a research paper would give you an edge over other candidates. I would say it does help you, but at the same time, it is not necessary. It's not a deal breaker. I would say that.
Adding to Omkar's point, research paper for jobs is not that much required compared to if you want to go into research and development in specific companies, like you want to pursue research in maybe ISRO, BARC, or IASC. So you want to have a paper there to present. Otherwise, a very good internship in that particular domain is showing of your technical skills wherein you want to go. So that much is required, but for job as such, there is no requirement of research papers.
All right. Okay. All right. So, like, if someone wants to pursue MS after job, so it would be better that they do work on a small research paper before that, or it would it be like focus on job right now, and then while job you get into more detailed stuff.
If your job is related to your field wherein you want to pursue your MS, then research paper will not be required because you have already worked in a technical domain, showcasing your skills in that job as well. So while you're writing your SOP, LORs, the people will recommend you that so and so has worked in this particular technical field. So research paper won't be required. Whereas if you are trying to maybe pursue something else for your MS, wherein you don't have experience, you can go back to your college times and showing that I have done so and so research, but not that much required. So you can showcase in that way.
All right. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So usually we see that people start whenever they join a job, they start hopping through jobs, right? Like you join this, then you join that. Many times, like you are. Some people just stick to the job till the end, like till they reach a vice president position. Sometimes they keep on hopping, getting different promotions or some stuff. So there's some term that's called job satisfaction, right? So what are your views on it? Like how important is job satisfaction, or we should just work for the salary, or just because the company ethics are good? What should be our aim to leave a company or just stay in there? What is your view on it? That's all.
So, job satisfaction is something that's a little tough to get. It depends from person to person. If you get a job which you want and you want, like you really like, so that time you will be satisfied. But then there comes another factor. If you are working for quite some time and the salary is low, even though if you're working for something which you really like to work, you might want to stick to that job, gain your experience, and you can switch later on. Then second thought process is mostly if you get a low salary that I've addressed, but if you want to go for your MS studies, so then people try to do the studies in order to satisfy in-depth research is done. Otherwise, to maintain a balance, it all boils down to salary and experience. Sometimes the work gets monotonous, So you want to feel like, okay, now I need to upskill myself because the work is getting monotonous. I'm doing the same job every day. There is no change. That time people would want to, again, they should switch or consider something else.
All right, right. What about you, Omkar? Like, what are
So
you
I would say
thinking?
this is very subjective, very subjective. So let's take a case. You want to go into particular, let's say mechatronics, wherein you work on robotics or build robotic arm. You get into that company. It is something you have interest in, but many other factors also come into place. Let's say the monetary compensation or the work-life balance, or they say that most of the people who are working say that your manager or your team, how your team is, how they behave with you also depends, affects if you want to stay in the job or not. So it is a very subjective answer. At the same time, it's also a personal decision. Some people who want to focus on learning or who want to focus on growth in the initial stages, they'll have to compensate, they have to give up work life balance. If anyone wants to focus on work life balance, perhaps the learning or monetary compensation part will not. Will not add up to their expectations. So many things come into play, and sometimes also, let's take your example. Also, I'm sure amongst what who all mechatronics students are there, almost 50 or more than 50% had wanted some other branch, let's say ECE or CS. It was not their first choice. So likewise, the job would also be the same. The jobs which are offered on campus may not be your first choice. Once you join, you'll find that uh, this is not something you want to work for the rest of your life, or you find some other interest. So it's very subjective, and you have to consult at that particular stage, at that particular problem. So it's very subjective answer.
All right. So, like, we should aim towards job satisfaction as well, right? Like, when you're working in a
That's
company, if there's no job satisfaction, then even though the salary is way too high, you won't feel like working, right?
correct. That's good. Personal, right? Some people want work-life balance for job satisfaction. Some people want a particular domain or particular role for job satisfaction.
Right.
So
All right. Correct. Okay. All right. So, as you guys discussed about data science, IoT, and other things, soft skills coming into development, but what these were the skills that would be demanding that are being demanded. But in next 3 to 5 years, since you have seen like even these crypto, blockchain, and NFTs, everything's
yeah.
coming into play. So in 3 to 5 years, what are the fields that would be hyping up the industry, or how would the industry be in next 3 to 5 years according to you?
See, as you mentioned, IoT and 5G. IoT and 5G are going to play an important role in the next few days once 5G is rolled out, because uh, now the current infrastructure issue is 4G will not be able to support the number of devices the ecosystem, IoT ecosystem will connect. So 5G will push the number of push the scalability of IoT. So IoT is definitely the one thing which is to be looked out. Again, AI ML. Most things are being automated. So AI ML is something which you have to look, and at the same time, you'll have to upskill yourself, because most of the jobs can be automated and you can be replaced. So, and now the industry or dynamics are changing such that businesses are changing in such a way that within 5 years or 10 years span, some other skills or some other technical aspects or some other things would be important. And perhaps AI or IoT would be mature at that stage. So you have to keep on evaluating at every few years. So at the moment, IoT, AI/ML will certainly uh, be uh, in focus in the next few years.
All right. All right. Got it. Pragya.
Yeah, so I will answer this question in from my experience. While I was working for the manufacturing industry, little bit of automation was there. You use robotics, robots for your welding processes and assembly processes. But otherwise, there were for the assembly line specifically, IoT installed devices were being put for the production line, so that if something happens at station one, it can be communicated to the manager well within the sitting area that something has happened. Otherwise, there used to be operators going around telling their managers, and the manager used to rush back to their department saying, "Ki, abhi you have to switch it off. This so and so damage has happened." So this is one thing. Even the core industries in India a little slow, but they will move into automation and IoT. And e-commerce perspective, they have already started. Example that one delivery hub of Flipkart, it has a hub wherein your particular parcels are segregated and sorted based using the robots based on your pin codes. And even in the company itself and the warehouse management, they have started using robots to place little tiny objects depending on their weights to address the warehouse, this thing to reduce the manpower. So these are the fields of development that are coming over in the next 3 to 5 years.
Right. So fields of automation and other things would
automation IT, and based on those, the business will expand. So business will require again MBAs. So MBAs fields like finance and everything will also be there.
Yeah. Got it. Okay, so that was okay. Good. So many people have the doubt when they come to, like, in the first year when they join, they're like, okay, some people are very much strict that they will do MS just after that, but they soon discover that maybe job is my field, and then they go out for looking out for job. But while working on job, they feel like, no, we need a higher degree to pursue higher studies and then get a better job, or maybe be at a better position. So is it, what according to you is advisable, like totally subjective, what according to you is advisable to do MS just after this, or is it also okay to pursue MS, MBA, any kind of thing after higher studies, basically after job?
For that, okay, I'll just, for example, there are students, some get clarity, like extreme amount of clarity while pursuing their B.Tech, that so and so subject I really like, I want to get into this field. Those people are, surely they can go ahead and pursue their masters and MS because they have a clear mind process that they want to do. Other people either sit for placements and get a job, or off campus whatsoever, and afterwards they start doing their job. So when you come into a job, you get varied interest and varied departments. While working for
Right.
certain different departments, you will realize, okay, is this my cup of tea, or do I want to do something else if I want to pursue maybe an MBA? So MBA, personally, from my experience, if you have a little bit of experience, generally freshers they can do MBA, there's no doubt in it, but the experience will benefit yourself. It's not for the institute or something. It's for yourself. You will know how to sit in the decorum of a company, how a business works, what is the business about. So that way it can help you. And while you are doing your job, maybe you will realize, okay, this is my potential, and now I want to pursue something. So you will have a better clarity. If that clarity was not there during your B.Tech, so that clarity can be received after pursuing your job or after having a job, that now I want to do my higher studies. So you will get that clarity later on, and then people can pursue their higher studies.
Okay, all right. What about you, Omkar?
So, see, the thing in India, there is this stigma about academic gap. If you have a year gap, there's a problem. But if you are planning for masters outside, if there is a year gap or you compensate it with your any job, there's nothing wrong, right? It's always a good option to have a job. So, in my opinion, if I have to suggest, definitely explore job, and then you'll have much better clarity about what kind of MS you want to do, what kind of, whether you want to stick into technical or engineering aspect, or you want to explore some other fields like entrepreneurship or management. So it's better to have a couple of years more to decide, and during that decision you can perhaps take a job. So that is my opinion, completely personal opinion. But yeah, if anyone is damn clear about their specialization for masters or their career path, they can certainly go ahead for job directly without go ahead for masters directly without job.
Right. So just continuing with the question a bit, what would you say that how depreciating the value of degree is after B.Tech? Like once you're done B.Tech, that's one degree you had, but as soon as you work and like, so the how does the value of degree depreciate over time after B.Tech if you don't do MS or a job? Like, you're not doing anything, you take a year gap and you are just preparing for some other thing. So how does it depreciate in current scenario?
So, if I have to explain it in simple language, it is all based on supply and demand. If if for a particular job, there are many other candidates you are competing with for promotion or for going up the ladder, certainly having a single degree will not help. You need to have some differentiating factor uh, with respect to your peers who you are competing with. So in that case, master's degree, having another degree helps. At the same time, upskilling, as I had mentioned earlier, job market is changing such that you'll have to upskill in every few years. So uh, in that aspect, definitely having another degree is better, specifically in market like India, where there are many engineers. You'll find engineering colleges in almost every pin code. Sorry, every pin code is too much, but yeah, almost in every city. So,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Adding to Omkar's point, upskilling is very important. And as you said previously, that some people resign, like stay in that particular job for until they become VP or president. That is changing in presently. Like you need to upskill yourself. You need to have a master's, because initially, if you have ever looked over LinkedIn, they require people who need to have MBA, and they have to have some master's degree. So masters is like another B.Tech in the from the 90s. Like, you need to have one master's degree. Earlier they used to have, you need to have a bachelor's to get a very good job. Now you have to have a master's degree to get a very good job and a decent pay. And along with that, you have to upskill yourself. So it is highly required. And also, while you are working for 3 to 4 years in a particular company, you tend to get somewhat monotonous. So it all depends on what you have worked, how you have worked, the projects you have done, and at the same time, if you have upskilled yourself or not. So the degree depreciates based on how you are progressing yourself. After a point, after your B.Tech, it's all about you and not the degree, how you are going forward in life.
If you had like, moving on to the one of the last questions of the discussion, that is, if you had a chance to go back to your 11th 12th, that is your school life, and make some changes, in the decisions that you would have made to land at a better place, you think you would have led to better place, what would they be? Because right now we do regret when it's all done, we do go back and be like, if I had done this, it would have been something like that. So since many school students and many people who are in their first year have joined, or even who are pursuing high school have joined, so maybe they could learn from it and maybe they could change.
For that, I think personally there is nothing as such, but mostly, yeah, obviously work hard to get more marks in my board exam. First thing. Second would be that to be more aware, like as gradually the years are passing by, we are more into, like, you have a lot of discussions with seniors and you're more connected basically. So to be more aware that what I want to pursue, because now it's not just B.Tech and medicine anymore. There are a lot of different fields where you can earn a lot, you can do well. It's not again the basic of doing B.Tech, then MBA, or doing B.Tech, MS. A lot of different fields. To be more aware mostly, and not just follow the sheep herd mentality and getting into one particular field. That would be one thing that I would like to do differently.
so for me, if I have to say, I would have consulted more. I would have I would have taken opinion from more people, from more professionals about career options. And what I thought is, like, what I feel is many places in India, there's a stigma that only science, engineering degrees are good. And there's very low awareness about career options through commerce or arts. Other Everything apart from science in 11th 12th is looked down upon. So perhaps I would have consulted more. Apart from that, I think the competitive part in 11th 12th, you are more competitive because of the entrance exams. At that time, I think taking less stress and focusing more on knowledge and personal knowledge gain rather than on the end competitive exams part. I would have done that. Apart from that, I think more or less, I'm in I do not regret being taking science in 11, 12, but yeah.
Right, right. So, okay, all right, that was really nice. So this was end of questions from my side. We have a few questions on chat on YouTube. I'll just go ahead. So they have asked that how has analytics helped you in your work life? Like how learning analytics helped you in your work life?
Okay, so luckily my job was in R&D and it was into project management. So I did not have, there was no need for using analytics for me personally. But when I see my peers, certainly analytics does play an important role. Some basic analytics knowledge is really important.
All right.
Yes, and even from my perspective, I worked in the core production and operations related the field job. So I was also not into so much of analytics, but while doing presentations and doing going to competitions for CII, so I noticed that while you're presenting, you have a competition, you need to go back again to the data. For me, MS Office was sufficient to have this thing, but whereas in different consulting firms where my other friends are working, they are like gradually learning Python. They have to create dashboards. Whenever you go into a consulting firm where different companies are involved, you need more of your hands-on experience on analytics and operations analyst, how to do your work. Even in further companies where your job is core operational related, you need to have some way to present your data in such a way that you can convince, because as you grow in the hierarchy, and you need to leave the shop floor job at the shop floor level because someone else will come and take it over. You have to go and convince the upper management that I need this for for my job, for my particular area in my assembly shop. So you need to convince the upper management, and for that you need data. So that is why you need to be well proficient in it.
All right, right. Okay, so a person has asked on YouTube. First, I'll go with YouTube. I'll come to the chat as well. So they have asked that the person is currently in his first year and wish to pursue internship in a research center in later years dedicated towards robotics. Then how should they go about it? What would be the process to go about it?
I would suggest that he should, look after internships that are coming in the fields where he wants to. The companies, basically, first shortlist the companies and start doing, projects, small projects, and taking courses initially, and also look after the companies that are coming and who are interested or looking for interns. A lot of Indian government initiatives are also coming up. If you look closely at their website, that if they need an intern from first year or second year, so he can go about it and connect with as many people as he can in that particular domain. Some or the other one, cold emailing, messaging, they will get back to you in that particular field. And by the time he's in second year, he want to do his research internship, he will definitely have a strong hold of good responses with them.
All right. Any additions to it, Omkar?
More or less, Pragya covered. Again, here I would like to add connecting with professionals of that particular company or that particular field will also help you to prepare accordingly. So what all projects you need to do to be suitable for that particular profile or that particular job. What kind of internships or how would they approach for internships? What kind of courses, life projects would they do? So at every stage, consulting some professional or senior will definitely help. So, but yeah.
Right. Okay. There's a very strong question on Google Meet chat. If you guys can see, the person has asked, "What makes a stronger resume? Is it CGPA or projects?" It's a very debatable topic, but yeah.
So you can't say either CGPA or projects. Any one of them is important. Both are equally important. And again, depends on company or requirements of the role. So it's very subjective. Why not focus on both? Focus on CGP as well as good projects. But sometimes, if you project CGPA is something, it's not always in control, because CGPA in Manipal is relative grading. I hope it's still relative grading.
Yeah, it is.
So sometimes, even if you work hard, CGPA is not into your control. In that part, projects will compensate that low CGPA. So try to focus on both aspects, I would say.
Right. Okay. Perfect.
My answer is similar to Omkar's. You need to have a decent CGPA. Just make sure that you have certain decent CGPA that will help you shortlist through the companies. That is required. Otherwise, it's all the person's capabilities. If a person is hardworking, if he has stronger projects in his command over them, then even if you have a little less CGPA, it won't matter that much. So you need to have both hand in hand and maintain a decent GPA and add on projects wherein you want to work. So that will help.
All right. Okay. So other person has asked, Omkar sir, looking back at your
Hello. Yeah, I'll just read the question and yeah.
I'm talking about a YouTube question. It's there. Looking back at your MBA journey, what would you have done differently? Person asking.
Perhaps I would have delayed my MBA for 1 year, because my MBA was more or less on an online mode, and MBA is such thing which involves more of peer learning, and case study discussions and classroom discussions are more important. So perhaps I would have delayed my MBA by a year. I'm not sure. I did not get exactly what the question was. I hope.
Yeah, they just wanted to ask, like, what would you have done differently, like what you're doing right now? That's all.
Yeah, I think just delayed my MBA for 1 more year and get more work experience.
Okay. Okay. Another person has asked on YouTube itself, how do you go about applying to companies off campus? Which sites, platforms have helped you the most, or would help the person the most? Like, where do they search for such stuff?
Yeah, Pragya, go ahead.
Okay, so for that, I think LinkedIn is helping a lot of people, and whatever connection you have, like Alumni Connect, therein you can connect with your seniors to get a job in particular company. So it all boils down to connections, and if you can get hold of email IDs from your friends or something, if they're working in that particular company, you can mail the HR and look at their websites. Most of the websites have a lot of vacancy, and they do get back that we have this vacancy open. If you personally go and apply on their website, so they do have that available.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, more or less Pragya covered everything. Cold emailing and connecting with alumni, connecting with industry professionals through LinkedIn. There are many other platforms for applying jobs. You can explore that as well.
Like Indeed, Naukri.com and stuff like
Indeed,
that?
Naukri, yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so coming back to Google chat question, it's a big one. So as per you, if someone wants to go for MBA, as more or less to combine the corporate, you certainly need to have management skills. So what will you suggest for MBA directly after B.Tech, or going for a job in certain years and then going for MBA, and how much would it be preferable? And then, or otherwise going for masters and then going for management, which is preferable? It's a 3-part question basically. So first part is, what would you suggest, MBA directly after B.Tech or for a job?
So I would suggest MBA after having at least couple of years of work experience, because if you see MBA outside India, there is minimum requirement of work experience. There are certain courses like MIM, like in Europe. I hope it's MIM only, right? Masters in Management. Yeah. So those degrees do not require work experience, but if you consider specifically MBA, work experience is required, because you expect certain level of maturity with respect to how companies work, how processes work. So having a work experience is certainly a plus point. And coming back to India, although it is not compulsory to have work experience to join MBA, but during evaluation or admission process, work experience gives you brownie points. There are certain weightage for work experience. So if at all you have somewhat less percentile, having a work experience will compensate that. So in my personal opinion, go for work experience and then masters, be it management or technical.
Okay. And the second part of the question, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so in this question, I think Omkar has covered it completely. I would just like to add, if you want to climb up this corporate stairs, there is nothing such as like, you need to have after some point it is required, but even if you're working, you switch your company, you will be, the natural increase is 30%. So you will be at a higher salary. So the more you switch companies, after some amount of time, you will be going up into that corporate ladder. And also MBAs abroad require 4 to 5, INSEAD, Wharton School of Business, and abroad the colleges, they look for more work experience. And the work experience is required. Why? While you're working in a company, you are actually managing people under you, managing people over you, managing people within yourself. So you are actually doing somewhat management related work over there. MBA is just to increase your skill set, how to do it more like prominently. So experience always gives you an edge, but in compared to like masters in management, you need to have experience for specifically MBA. And if you're sorted, you want to do your MS, then you can go without doubt directly pursue it your MS, because it won't be much relevant. You will have the industry is updating, so you need to have more technical experience as terms in when it comes to MS.
Right. So okay, so you guys said personal opinion is do a job for some time and then go for MBA. Coming to second part, they're asking that if it is okay to do B.Tech, then masters in technology or something, MS or M.Tech, and then MBA. What is it really required, or what is the scenario in the current time?
Yes, it would be required after some time. See, if you have done your MS, that means you already have enough knowledge about your technical aspect and you are working in that particular technical domain. And later on, a lot of people do MBA is because eventually you go up the ladder and you reach the positions of directors and executive people. So you need to have an MBA to showcase that, yeah, you have an MBA, so you can handle the company board decisions and all. So MBA in that point of view is required. Because after some time, after having 20 years of experience in the industries and all, they will look at that, do you have an MBA or not? So it becomes a necessity at that point of time as well. So and people even do double MBAs. Like some people I've seen, they have done their MBA here in India and then they go abroad and they do their MBA again. So double MBAs are also very common. It's not just MS and MBA. Double MBAs are also there.
Yeah, all right.
But again, at that point of time, once you have an B.Tech plus MS degree, you don't need to do MBA immediately. And once you start working for a few more years, and if there is anything MBA required, management skills required, at that time you have multiple options like part-time MBAs or on-the-job MBA, company sponsors MBA. So you need not worry for triple degrees, MBA plus MS plus B.Tech immediately. So having one of any two of them would do. B.Tech plus MS or B.Tech plus MBA.
All right. Okay. All right. So that is also fine, right? But I would like to add to this question. What if your job profile does not require is there any job profile at a higher position that does not require an MBA? Just MS would be fine, or a double MS would be registered. Is there some kind of job profile like that?
Most of the time, MBA, once you reach at those positions, MBA is not a eligibility criteria or deciding criteria. It's just to, if at all there are multiple options available for a company to choose for that particular role, having MBA, or you need some differentiating factor. That is number one. Number two, if at all during your course of job you have enough skill set, you have proven yourself, you have given the required results, MBA is not required. So that is completely subjective.
All right. Okay. Perfect. Coming back to YouTube comments, questions have increased a lot. So I'll quickly ask them and we'll see how it goes. Okay. So someone has asked, I want to pursue career in business intelligence and analytics. Please guide me. How should I go about it? Omkar is directed towards you.
Okay, so business intelligence and analytics, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps you have to start at a data scientist, data analyst position in that particular industry. Because after, let's say, for mechatronics, directly getting into those kind of roles is difficult, I presume. Uh, companies would prefer someone having hands-on experience on data analytics. So if you have projects or minor specialization or electives, perhaps focusing on those aspects will help you land on those positions, business intelligence analytics.
All right. Now there's a very debatable question, and actually no one would know the answer to. The question is, on what parameter should I consider the field I chose is right or wrong? What are your views on it? Like,
can you repeat?
The question is, on what parameter should I consider that the field I chose is right or wrong?
It's a very subjective question again.
Right.
So, as you have mentioned about job satisfaction, all those things again, similar answer applies here as well. If you see particular job and you see that you would like to work in that particular role or that particular job for the next few years down the line, then perhaps it is a good decision. Otherwise, not. This is a simple layman answer, but again, many things would come into play to decide that.
Right. Okay. What about you, Pragya? Any answer to it?
I think that person, if he is like thoughtful about which degree it is correct or not, he should like not worry even if he somehow feels that it's not right, because a lot of fast changing of situations happen. People transit from one particular industry to another particular industry. It's always based on how you upskill yourself or wherever you are presently. If you're enjoying it or not, then he can follow that method of striking off things that he does not like, and eventually he'll come up to something that he will like or he or she will like and want to pursue. So you can go into that. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. All right. Next question is a question with 3 parts. So I'll go part by part. The first part is again subject question. How do you find your interests?
Again, to find your interest is something will always push you while you're doing your B.Tech. You are studying a subject. You feel like, okay, this is not that I want to do. Maybe even if you put me in a 9 to 8 job, I will not like to do this particular thing. And some subject will give you a kick, like maybe I can look about it, I can do something in that. So based on your thought process, that if you're liking it or not, and if you are enjoying doing that, you get a lot of assignments, you get a lot of projects to work on in your college. So based on that, you can decide that if something is interesting or not. Internships which you do apart from your colleges in other companies, because you have to show your industrial training experience. So if you're liking that, it'll give you an edge that I want to pursue something in this particular field, to find your interest.
Omkar, any views on that? How do you find your interests?
Yeah, sorry. So like Pragya had mentioned, try to do internships in different domains, different kinds of companies, different industries to get an idea about the different kinds of roles that are available. Once or talk to people in that particular different role, because sitting in college and reading about those roles and talking to a person who is in that particular role or in that particular industries are completely different things. So try to get as much as knowledge about that particular role by talking to people in that industry or talking to professionals. I would say.
So basically, it's rather finding your interest. It's more of like eliminating what you don't like.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, right.
That is
Okay.
actually that is the strategy most of the people should use, because there are many options available. Unless and until you try all the things, you may not know which is your interest. So
Right. 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 And even while pursuing something, you might find some smaller interest or a smaller domain in that which you might would like more than the main domain. So maybe you can
definitely,
specialize in that or something like that. Right.
definitely.
Okay. So next question in that particular question is it possible to do so, like after finding your interest, like how to find your interest? Is it possible to do so through our academics or experience on field is necessary? Like, do you find your interest in academics itself or while working you find it? Like, what are your perspective on that? How did you find your interest? Basically, the person who wants to ask.
So I would say I found my interest during academics as well as during my working during my work experience. So there's nothing like it is too late or too early. So whenever you find or you get familiar with a particular domain or you find some interest, it's completely fine. So nothing like you have to you need to have clarity during your academics or UG, undergraduate, B.Tech only. Nothing like that.
All right.
Yeah, you can get clarity while you're working in the company, while you are doing your B.Tech. And also, maybe there are times that if you have a branch which is completely opposite of what you want to pursue, then the field work is required. Like you can start by interning for that particular company, because if suddenly you work from, like, even in Mechatronics we don't have much that of data analytics and involved in that process, but you want to go into a consulting firm from the beginning, after just after you complete your undergraduate. So I've seen people that while they're in their undergraduate, they have done particular courses, they have tried to do small internships so that they can, manufacture their resume in such a way, frame their resume in such a way to attract those companies and be like, I want to work in a consulting firm. Please, I have so many projects, I have done so and so internships. So even if your degree is something different, they will consider you and they can choose you.
Right. Okay. And have your interests changed throughout the years? Like, have they kept on changing? Are they still changing? What is just a yes or no would be glad. Right?
Yes, they keep changing.
Yes, they change.
All right. Okay. Okay. And how to pick up one if you have multiple interests? That's like
So perhaps
right.
comparing the pros and cons of each one.
Right.
That's the most simple way.
Okay.
But
Obviously,
again,
one
there's no
interest
easy
will be
answer.
in the higher edge, I guess, Omkar. One interest will be always little bit ahead of the previous interest, so you
Correct.
can go and pursue that.
Yeah. Right. Right. So this was a really interesting question because
Yes.
that gives you personal insight basically.
Right.
Okay. Coming to next question, can we go to the software side like coding, web dev after B.Tech in mechatronics?
Yes. You can.
100% yes, right?
Yes.
Because we are mechanical electronics and we are doing a part of CSK as well, and there's a lot of involvement. So
Although there
maybe
are certain challenges, because someone who has studied computer science coding throughout their 4 years, as compared to us mechatronics who have probably taken a couple of courses, so you need to work somewhat more harder than the ones who have completely studied CS throughout their 4 years. So there are certain these challenges, but it's not like it is not possible to get job. It is certainly possible.
okay, all right. Okay. The same person has like the interest person has another question. So is there any downside of doing an MIM? Like since no work experience is required, so is there any downside as compared to an MBA?
Nothing as much. Just the thing is, after MBA, if I compare the outside India scenario, MBA outside India, after MBA, you generally land into mid-level roles or mid-manager level roles. And after MIM, perhaps you will join as an entry-level role. So apart from that, I don't think there is any other difference. And
Yeah,
in
adding
an
to Omkar's
MM
point,
degree,
yeah.
in an MM degree, perhaps you will have more options to choose, more options to go. because
Right.
in an MBA abroad, you would have certain years of 5-7 years of work experience. So after doing an MBA, it limits your options of joining particular field or particular domain. You have limited set of options. So both have their own pros and cons. So it's
Right. Okay. All right. All right. So there's no as such like major downside of doing an MIM. If you want to do an MIM, you go for it. Like right.
correct. Yes.
Oh, all right. All right. Okay. So next question is, what role do internships play in getting jobs? I would like to specify it more. Like, do internships in multiple domains help, or it should be all focused towards one, aiming to your main job? And how important are internships for getting jobs?
It depends on the company. For example, if you get through a manufacturing company or the placement is for a manufacturing industry, they will definitely look into something. If you have done your internship in a particular, mostly technical side. Whereas if you want to go and pursue something non-tech, non-management, there are people who have done internships in like business development roles and marketing profiles. So they can also start positions in the other companies with that particular roles. So your internships partially determines where you want to go. And again, in on-campus like placements, the companies already have their own criteria where they will eventually hire you based on how the interview goes, based on their recruitment processes. So internship plays a role. They justify your presence as in how you have performed and what knowledge you have. So it involves certain deciding factor for any company.
All right. Omkar, same.
Yeah, same answer. The thing is, uh, it again depends on the role available, the job available on the company. If company has is hiring for a particular domain, and you have done internships in that domain, it will certainly give an edge. And having different internships would perhaps not play would not give you an advantage. But at the same time, if you have multiple internships from different domains, you can say that I was trying to explore different domains, different industries, different roles. That's why I chose to do. Uh, that's why I chose to not stick with one particular domain. So that is so again it's nothing like you have to stick to one particular domain of internships or different domains. Nothing like that.
All right. Okay. The next question is, how has MBA increased your interest in analytics to Omkar?
Uh, to be honest, not really. I am not inclined towards analytics. But again, you cannot run away from these skill sets these days. So you need to have basic knowledge about those. So they have not increased, but I just feel that I would try to look at roles away from analytics. That is
Okay.
my perspective.
Okay. So again, another question related to Omkar is like, as you have pursued MBA from an IIM, they would like to know that is there any specialization in business intelligence and analytics and IIMs?
Yes, there are specializations, not specifically for business intelligence and analytics, but you can take certain subjects in analytics domain to get you to have a specialization.
Okay, all right. Now this question is directed to both. This would be the last question we would take for now, and the comment would be fulfilling. So maybe you can go to the YouTube channel and maybe you can answer themselves, or we'll put up the questions on the
Sure.
background group we have. All right. The last question is: as you both have are passed out right now from the college, can you please elaborate what tech thing are we taught in B.Tech, like apart from robotics? I did not get the question much. So what does that mean?
Tech thing
The
is
question.
this like
Yeah, the question reads as you both are passed out, can you please elaborate what tech thing we are taught in B.Tech, like apart from robotics? They are from
Perhaps
mechatronics, I assume.
if I have to understand that question, I'm taking as what kind of different subjects or what different subjects are very important uh, after like after while working apart from robotics, right? Is is that what the
I
is that
think the
what the
context
question?
can be similar. Like, yeah, same.
So Yeah, nothing like one particular subject was important. It depends on company to company, industry to industry. So more or less, all subjects are equally important. You have to uh, try to learn all the subjects because some way or the other, you may be required later on. You may be required to apply those subjects later on. So nothing like specific tech apart from robotics important. Nothing like
I think the answer is similar to Omkar's. Like whatever subject you are taught, and when you come to that industry, and whichever department you are placed into, so you will realize, okay, that might be the subject that I have studied. It might have some relevance. Obviously, if you're going into a production operations related thing, so if you have operations management in your uh, subject, or even if you see electric drives and all, if you work for an electronics company you get into, so you might just PLC driven data will be there, you will understand certain bit of it. So it all depends on which company you're going to work in, and eventually when you're working you always have to go back and see whether it's Google or your old textbook. Definitely the most of the answers are and queries are answered over Google itself if you have forgotten
Okay.
whatever you have done. Yeah.
Right. And since you guys passed out, there has been a lot of development in the curriculum as well. So I would also like to add to that answer that now we have specialization in EVT, we have specialization in DBMS, IIoT, and robotics automation. They are having particular subjects on AI as well. So yes, these are the tech things you learn apart from robotics. So you have a wide range of choices now, and even you can
Yeah.
take different subjects to create a specialization of your own. So that kind of stuff is available. Just one last question. After that, we'll try to wrap it up. How good is R&D as a field, and how to be well compensated with it? And if you're going into that field, is it really necessary to do an MBA after a point? This is a repetitive question, but yeah,
that.
R&D
So
as a field basically.
R&D, if I have to compare with other jobs, R&D is relatively more relaxed. You don't have strict targets, so work-life balance is relatively better in R&D. If you are looking at that comparison aspect regarding growth or different opportunities, if you take up one particular domain in R&D, you have to stick through it, and it gets difficult to change jobs. So that is one negative aspect of R&D. That is one thing. And second, regarding what was the second part?
How to be well compensated? The person has written.
Compensate with?
Maybe other tech fields or maybe other jobs. I'm sure it's not. It's a bit abstract. How is it compensated with other tech jobs? Maybe.
So I could not get the question.
No issues. No issues. All right. If the person elaborates on the question later in a comment, we'll try to answer. And the last question is repetitive, but still I would like to put it up. Is it necessary to do an MBA after a point? And I'm taking it in a direction of R&D only. Like if you're in R&D for a long time, is it really necessary to do an MBA after a point in job?
Nothing like that. Not necessary.
Okay, all right. Okay, perfect. So with this, we come to the end of this session. The session's name was Looking into the Future by IM Mechatronics. This was second day, and the session was on jobs. I hope you all liked it. We would like to hear a lot from you guys on YouTube comments so that we know how did we do and what would you like to ask more. You can rewatch the session as it is. It will be available on our channel, and we can ask more questions. We'll try to respond as soon as possible by getting in touch with the speakers. So coming to the end, in the end, what is there any point of like suggestion or any advice you would like to give all the budding engineers or budding students, basically upcoming industry people?
So I think thank you for conducting this amazing seminar over the job aspect. It's never, the only advice that I would be giving is it's never too late. Even if while you are in a particular job, you decide to pursue something else, you can go ahead and pursue it. There are a lot of means and methods to do so than previous times. So you can always go ahead, and a lot of companies are also even if you try to change your field or go somewhere else, they give you opportunities. So you can pursue that wherever and whenever your interests come into picture, and if you want to pursue it, you can. There should be a little lesser hesitation, and otherwise most of the clarity will be given while you're working, while you're in your B.Tech. So it will be a smooth journey onwards, and don't think that your GPA always matters. At points it does not. After college, after your 12th, it's how you carry yourself, what personality you are, because that is what cracks you through the interviews. It's just a criteria to judge people from one person to another. So
Right. Right.
So yeah, regarding advice, it's fine to not have specific interest or not have clarity about any particular interest at this point of time. And finally, I would just say that try to upskill yourself whenever possible. Learn whatever comes on your plate. That's the thing. Have a good learning attitude. That is very important. Yes.
All right, that was a great session with you guys. We enjoyed a lot. I hope the audience also enjoyed a lot. It was great to have you guys. So I'll officially close the session. I'm Achyut Saxena, President I Mechatronics, and you guys are free to reach us out on our social media handles, and even reach the speakers out on their LinkedIn handles as well. We'll try to put up their LinkedIn handles on our chat, and we'll see if you want to approach them. They'll try to answer your queries. Otherwise, you can reach us out on our social media handles. We are on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. You can reach us out there, and we'll try to get your queries solved, because we want to help all of us, all the community. And giving back to the community is the best thing we can do by being students. All right, guys, it was a great session. Thanks a lot. Goodbye. Good night.
Thank you, Mechatronics team. Thank you, Achyut and team, for having us here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us here. Hope we were able to clear a few of the doubts. Okay then.
Hello.
Right. Okay. Bye-bye. Good night, guys.
Bye.